Imagine for a second that you could just pull the plug,
Right.
sever the cord, no internet connection, no Wi-Fi.
No monthly subscription quietly draining your bank account.
Exactly. And definitely no data packets flying off to some server farm in Oregon or Virginia.
It sounds like the ultimate digital detox fantasy, doesn't it? Just silence.
Well, usually digital detox means less technology,
Mhm.
but imagine you still have you, your laptop, and a brain
A super intelligent artificial brain.
living right there on your hard drive. It's ready to answer questions, write code, analyze your tax returns, all completely off the grid.
No latency, no surveillance, just raw compute.
That is the promise of local AI. And for a long time, let's be honest, that was a promise kept only for the people who knew how to, compile Linux kernels at 3 in the morning.
Oh, yeah. It was technical, it was messy, and it usually involved a lot of error messages.
Exactly. It was possible, but it definitely wasn't pleasant. But we have a stack of research today, specifically a brand new review from InfoWorld that just dropped yesterday, February 11, 2026.
And it suggests this is all changing. We're doing a deep dive into a tool called LM Studio.
And the timing here is, it's critical. We're in 2026.
The landscape has shifted significantly. We are not in the early Wild West days of 2023 anymore.
It really has. So the mission for this deep dive is to answer a specific question. Is LM Studio the everyman's solution to local AI?
Or is it still just a shiny toy for the tech elite?
Is it actually ready for you, or should you just keep paying your monthly cloud subscription to the big guys?
To answer that, we're going to break down this first look review by Serdar Yegilab.
And we should probably establish who he is, right? Because in the tech world, the byline matters.
It really does. You don't want to just take advice from a random YouTuber.
True, Yegilab isn't a hype man.
Far from it. He's a veteran tech journalist with 30 years in the game. I mean, he remembers when floppy disks were actually floppy.
He's seen it all.
The dot-com boom, the bust, the mobile revolution, and now the AI wave. So when a guy like that calls a piece of software rough in a few spots but still useful, it's not just a blurb on a marketing page.
It's a measured verdict.
It is.
So before we get into the software itself, let's
Yeah.
talk about the context. Why is this popping up now? You mentioned the landscape in 2026.
Yeah.
We've got the giants Amazon, Google making massive moves this year.
Right. If you look at the big releases just in the last few months, you've got Amazon with Kiro and Google with anti-gravity.
Okay.
But those tools, massive as they are, have a very specific flavor. They are built for developers.
They're IDE's integrated development environment.
Exactly. They are cockpits for pilots, lots of switches, dials, and assumed knowledge.
So they're for code completion, debugging Python scripts, that sort of thing.
Precisely. They are AI-assisted code development tools. But LM Studio, the tool Element Labs is building, is trying to be a sedan.
A sedan.
A daily driver for everyone else. It's aiming for general conversational use.
So it's less about writing software and more about just talking to your computer.
Yeah. It wants to be the interface where you have a chat, ask for advice, or brainstorm ideas without needing to know how to write a line of code or manage a GitHub repository.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
I can already do that. I can open my browser, go to a chatbot, and type away. It's fast, it's easy, and often it's free. Why would I want to go through the hassle of downloading gigabytes of data to my poor overheating laptop to run this locally?
That is the core question, and usually the answer forms a triangle: privacy, cost, and control.
Let's start with privacy. That seems to be the one people care about most these days.
This is the big one. When you use a cloud model, even with the best terms of service, you are sending your data out. It leaves your machine.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a lawyer drafting a sensitive contract or a doctor looking at patient notes, sending that text to a megacorporation requires a lot of trust.
And trust is in short supply.
Precisely. Local AI means the data never leaves your machine. You could be in a submarine at the bottom of the ocean, cut off from the entire world.
And it would still work.
And no one else would ever see a single token of what you typed.
Then there's cost. We mentioned subscriptions earlier.
In the cloud, you pay for intelligence. You pay per token, which is basically per word, or you pay a flat monthly fee.
$20, $30.
Right. With local AI, once you download the model, the intelligence is free. You're just trading money for electricity and storage space. The thinking is free.
I like the sound of that. But you mentioned control as the third point. What does that actually mean for a normal user?
It means control over the model itself. In the cloud, the model changes constantly. You might build a workflow around how GPT-4 behaves today, and tomorrow they update it.
And suddenly your prompts don't work anymore.
Or the safety filters get tighter and it refuses to answer a question it answered yesterday. On your machine, the model stays exactly as it is until you decide to update it.
So it's a difference between streaming a movie on Netflix, where they can delete it whenever they want,
Yeah,
and owning the Blu-ray sitting on your shelf.
that's a great analogy. And LM Studio's trying to be the best Blu-ray player on the market.
All right, let's get into the experience. I'm sold on the why, now I want a how. Jaegelub describes the initial experience of opening LM Studio as surprisingly pleasant.
He does. And if you've ever tried to run local AI before, say back in 2024 or 2025, you know that pleasant is usually not the word.
Oh no.
Historically, tools like Comfy UI or raw command line interfaces are hostile.
Oh, I've been there. Dragging files into random folders, editing path variables, dealing with Python dependencies.
It's a nightmare.
It feels less like installing an app and more like performing surgery on your operating system.
Exactly. That is the friction that LM Studio is trying to remove. When you launch it, you aren't greeted with a blank terminal. You get a curated search panel.
Like an app store for brains.
It feels like that. You search for a model, click a button, and it handles the rest.
And this is where they added a feature that I think is just genius, the hardware reality check.
Yes, this is a huge usability win because in the old days, you would see a cool new model, spend 2 hours downloading a 50-gigabyte file,
And then you try to load it,
and your computer would just freeze and die, the dreaded out-of-memory crash.
which usually requires a hard reboot and a lot of swearing.
Right. LM Studio looks at your system, specifically your RAM and your GPU memory, and it filters the list. It says, okay, you have 16 gigs of RAM. You can run these models comfortably.
But these massive ones,
Don't even think about it.
it's the you must be this tall to ride the roller coaster sign.
Exactly. And that saves so much frustration for the learner user who doesn't know the math behind quantization and parameter counts.
It just tells you what fits.
Yep.
Speaking of the models, the review mentions Jaegelub tested a few specific ones. What did he try?
He tested a wide range, which shows the diversity of the ecosystem right now. He tried GLM 4.7 Flash by ZII. He ran Nematron 3 Nano from NVIDIA, which is a very efficient, smaller model designed to run fast. And he ran GPT-OSS.
Wait, GPT-OSS
Yeah.
as an OpenAI.
Yes. The 20 billion parameter version of OpenAI's open source model.
It is still wild to me that we can run an OpenAI model locally.
It's a massive shift, but having access to that brand name on your local hardware is a big draw.
And LM Studio just handles it.
It handles the acquisition perfectly. You click download, it manages the file paths. You don't have to be a file management wizard to get these things running.
So we've bought our candy, we've downloaded our brain.
Right.
Now we're sitting in the driver's seat. What's the dashboard like?
Visually, it's familiar. If you've used ChatGPT or Claude, you'll feel at home. You have tabbed conversations, just like a web browser.
That's handy, so I can have one tab for coding help and another where I'm figuring out a recipe.
And they don't pollute each other's context.
Exactly.
But unlike a web browser, you get to look under the hood. Jaegelub notes that you can see the model's thinking process.
And you have knobs to turn.
You do, and I thought this was for the everyman.
It is, but it bridges the gap. The defaults work fine. But let's say you have a gaming PC with a big graphics card.
Huh?
LM Studio lets you go into the settings and offload layers to the GPU.
Okay, let's unpack that for a second. Why do I want to offload layers? My computer has a CPU, which is the brain. Why does the graphics card help with text?
Think of it this way. Your CPU is like a genius mathematician. It can do complex calculus, but it does it one problem at a time. It's smart but sequential.
Okay.
Your GPU, your graphics card, is like 10,000 elementary school students.
Right.
They aren't as smart individually, but they can all do simple addition at the exact same time.
And running an AI model is basically just billions of simple math problems.
Exactly. It's matrix multiplication. The GPU is built for that. So by moving the model to the GPU, you go from waiting seconds for a word to appear to watching it fly across the screen faster than you can read.
Then LM Studio makes that toggle accessible.
It does. It gives you the option to optimize if you have the gear, but you don't have to touch it. Got it. There was one specific feature mentioned in the review that really stood out to me as a literacy tool.
The token counter.
Yes.
I love this. In the cloud, we're abstracted away from the cost of our queries. We type, and magic happens.
And maybe a credit card gets charged somewhere in the background, but we don't feel it in the moment.
Right. But on your machine, cost means system resources. LM Studio gives you a running count of tokens used in the conversation.
And for listeners who might not know, a token is basically a chunk of a word, right?
Roughly, yes, about 3/4 of a word. Everything you type and everything the AI replies with is a token.
And watching that counterspin helps you understand the weight of your conversation.
It does. If you paste a 50-page document and ask for a summary, you see that token count jump and you understand why your fan just turned on and your laptop started getting hot.
It connects the software action to the physical reality of the hardware.
It does. And speaking of pasting documents, the local analysis feature is another big win. Drag and drop. You can drop a PDF, a text file, a code snippet right into the chat window.
That is a dream for privacy, being able to drop a tax document and say, is this legit? Without uploading it to a cloud server where who knows who could see it.
Ideally, yes. But here's where we have to hit the brakes and talk about security.
Oh.
The reviewer, Yegelup, puts up a pretty specific warning here regarding file access.
What's the warning?
LM Studio can be granted access to your full file system.
Oh, full access. Like it can read my directory structure.
If you enable it, yes. The software creates a local server that essentially has the permissions of your user account. Yegelup says he would only do that with great care.
And certainly not on a machine with mission-critical information.
Definitely not.
So, practically speaking, what's the risk? Is it that the AI becomes sentient and steals my identity?
No, nothing that dramatic. The risk is that software has bugs and models hallucinate. Imagine an AI agent that hallucinates a command to clean up disk space and accidentally deletes your documents folder.
Okay, that's bad.
Or you download a prompt from the internet that tricks the model into reading a file it shouldn't.
So the advice is, don't just open the front door and say, make yourself at home.
Exactly. Treat it like a guest. Hand it the specific files you want it to look at via drag and drop. That is much safer.
Noted. Keep the digital door locked. So far, this sounds pretty good, but every tech review has a but.
There's always a but.
Where does LM Studio fall short?
The integrations. This is where the article shifts tone completely. It goes from glowing to frustrated. Yegelup describes the integration system as clunky and wholly manual.
Wholly manual is not a phrase you want to hear in 2026.
No. We have self-driving cars. Why am I manually doing anything?
Right.
It uses something called MCP Model Context Protocol. Now, conceptually, MCP is great. It's a standard way for AI models to talk to outside tools.
Like a web browser
No.
or a calculator.
Exactly. The idea being that the AI isn't just a brain in a jar, it has hands.
But in LM Studio, attaching those hands is primitive.
There is no directory for tools. You can't just click a button that says install web search.
So how do you do it?
You have to edit a JSON file.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You're kidding me?
You have to find a configuration file, specifically mcp.json, open it in a text editor, and manually type in the code configuration to add that integration.
That feels like we went back to 1995. Let me just edit my autoexec.bat file to get my sound card working.
It really does. And for a tool that markets itself as the everyman's interface, this is a massive barrier.
It's a huge contrast to the beautiful App Store experience for the models.
It's like they built a Ferrari, but if you want to turn on the headlights, you have to get out, pop the hood, and wire them yourself.
And what comes out of the box? Does it have any tools pre-installed?
Just one, a JavaScript code sandbox using Dino.
So it can do math.
It can run some code to do math or logic puzzles, but basic things like search the web.
Which is arguably the #2 thing people want AI to do after chat.
Not included. Yegelup had to manually add a Brave search integration himself. He had to go find the configuration, get the API key, and edit the file.
That seems like a huge miss.
It is. And that's why the reviewer says this part of the app feels less like a finished product and more like a developer preview. It requires cobbling things together.
For our learner listener, this is the hard stop.
It is. If you aren't comfortable editing a JSON file, your LM Studio is going to be very isolated. It will be smart, but it will be stuck in a box.
So it's a brilliant brain, but it's deaf and blind to the internet, unless you know the secret handshake.
That's a perfect way to put it.
However, and there's always a however with these tools.
Always.
For the people who do know the secret handshake, the power users, there's a section in this review about agentic behavior that sounded fascinating.
Right. LM Studio isn't just a chat app, is it?
No. And this is the hidden superpower that makes the JSON headache worth it for some people. LM Studio is a server.
When you run it, it provides a REST API.
Okay, we need to unpack that. Why do I care if my chat app is a server?
It means other programs on your computer can talk to it. And specifically, LM Studio creates an endpoint that mimics Anthropic's API.
Wait, so I can use a tool designed for Claude, which is a super expensive cloud model, but trick it into using my free local model?
Essentially, yes. Let's take a tool like Claude Code or any of these high-end coding workflows. They expect to talk to Anthropic servers. You can point them at your local host address,
Your own computer.
and LM Studio will answer the phone.
That is devious and brilliant.
It effectively allows you to host your own private cloud. You can use professional-grade workflow tools that usually require subscription, but power them with your local hardware.
That's taking the toy and turning it into a workshop.
And it goes further. Jaegelup talks about building agents. Because it has API endpoints for tool use, you can write scripts that interact with the model.
Give me an example. What does an agent do that a chatbot doesn't?
A chatbot answers a question. An agent completes a task. Okay. Let's say you want to plan a trip. A chatbot just gives you a list of hotels. An agent, using the API, could be scripted to 1. Search for hotels. 2. Read the reviews. 3. Check your calendar. And 4. Draft an email to your spouse with the options.
And LM Studio allows you to build that loop locally.
Yes. You can build a system where the AI says, I need to check the weather, and your script says, here's the weather, and the AI says, okay, bring an umbrella.
It bridges the gap between talking and doing.
It does, but again, this is for the user who is willing to write the script.
Right. It's not drag and drop Jarvis yet. It's assemble your own Jarvis
Yeah.
with a bag of loose screws and a soldering iron.
That's a very good way of putting it.
So we've seen the good, the bad, and the geeky. Let's bring it to a verdict. What is the final word from the InfoWorld review?
The conclusion is balanced. LM Studio has a clean design. It's a fantastic starting point for exploring local AI. But the tool integration, the ability to connect to the outside world, is just too thin and too manual right now.
It feels like a platform waiting for its ecosystem to arrive.
Yeah, it's like a gaming console with only one game. A great game, but you want more.
Right. And there's one final caveat that we need to mention.
This is crucial.
It's about ownership.
The ownership of the software itself.
Yeah.
Yes. While LM Studio uses open source components like the llama.cpp libraries that actually run the models,
The application itself, the interface, the dashboard.
that is not open source. It is proprietary software owned by Element Labs.
So Element Labs owns the code.
They do. Right now, it is free to use, but as Jaegelup points out, there is no guarantee it will stay that way.
Right. We've seen this pattern 1,000 times in tech. A tool captures the market with a free version. Everyone builds their workflows around it.
And then the paywall appears,
Right.
or the pro features get locked down.
The classic bait and switch.
Yeah.
Or just the reality of trying to run a business.
It is the reality of business.
Yeah.
But it creates a paradox. You are running an open source model like GPT-OSS, which is free and open.
But you are running it inside a black box engine.
That is a really important distinction. You own the gas, the model, but you're renting the car, the interface.
Exactly. And if the car manufacturer decides to change the locks or remove the steering wheel, you're stuck.
Which leads us to our final thought for the listener. We started this deep dive talking about breaking free from big tech.
About severing the cord. But are we really?
It raises a provocative question. We are moving into an era where personal AI is technically possible. You can have the hardware, you can have the weights of the model.
But if the software interface, the thing that actually lets you interact with that intelligence, is proprietary, do you really own the intelligence on your computer?
Or are you just trading a cloud subscription for a different kind of lock-in?
If the software updates tomorrow and removes a feature or starts tracking your usage, you can't fork the code. You can't fix it yourself.
True independence requires the whole stack to be open, not just the model.
That is something to chew on. Just because it's running on your laptop doesn't mean it's fully yours.
It's a major step towards independence, absolutely. But we aren't all the way to the finish line yet.
Well, listener, the ball is in your court. If you have the RAM and the patience to edit a JSON file LM Studio, it sounds like a fun experiment.
It is definitely worth a download. It's the best way to see what your computer is actually capable of. Just maybe don't give it the keys to your bank account just yet.
Solid advice as always. Thanks for helping us decode the local AI landscape.
My pleasure.
And to you, listening, thanks for diving in. Let us know if you managed to get agentic with your local brain. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.